How about a Coppola quick facts?
Ben, Patrick, and John Gates were all named after founding fathers. Not surprising. So Ben is named after Benjamin Franklin, Patrick is after Patrick Henry, and then John is after John Adams, which, by the way, John Adams, distant relative to my family, just so you know.
Really?
It's one of those stupid things that people throw out that is unsubstantiated and not even like I can't even back that up with truth. But
now that you mention it, I think I'm related to George Washington as well.
Yeah. This is George Lopez. Is weird.
Oh, God, I always get their last names mixed up. You're right.
Abigail Chase is a combination of Abigail Adams, the wife of John Adams, and Samuel Chase, the signer of the Declaration of Independence, and later an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. And then the same thing on the other side, along with the Gates family, all being named after founding fathers. Ian, the guy that Sean Bean plays, his last name is Howe, the last name of a British general and an admiral in the Revolutionary War. On the DVD, John Turteltaub said that the initial cut of this movie was 4 hours long. What did they cut out? I mean, this movie is insanely long to begin with. It just feels, it doesn't feel like it drags in particular. I mean, it didn't to me. Even when I was doing the breakdown, I wasn't like, oh my God, just get to the next thing already. But it's just, this is, we'll get to it in the trackers, but this is the longest film that we've done so far by 10 minutes, a full 10 minutes longer than Bringing Out the Dead, I think was the longest movie that we had done up to this point.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like it's unnecessary to be that long.
It really doesn't need to be. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I do feel like towards the end of the film, they do kind of just cut and wrap shit up a little too quickly for kind of the pace that they had set the film at that point. Like for when they get out, when they're in the tombs, and then they just kind of wrap everything up pretty much right after that.
Yeah.
I could see why, or I could see there being a 4-hour cut with them extending that plot. It just being a little more back and forth between him and Sean Bean before finally wrapping it up.
I really don't love the 20 minutes of double fake out on the rooms where like they get down there and there's an empty room and then Sean Bean takes off and then they open up another room and then they're like, oh, well, we didn't find the treasure. And then they go to another room.
I really don't like the ending. I saw this movie when it came out and all I remember from it is really disliking the last act, basically. So, I think it was part of that. It was just like, oh my God, it takes forever. Like we've already been in this for like an hour and a half getting to this point and we're still like, oh my God, just get to the shit. Yeah.
I definitely felt that on the second watch. I hadn't seen this movie probably since like 2008 or 9, somewhere in there. So watching it again was actually kind of fun. I didn't remember, like, that's kind of the thing with this movie is like there's nothing super memorable about the film in general, to me anyway, and I think to us. But to the audience, I feel like a lot of people just really, really cherish this film. I've talked to several people who love it, and I think the biggest difference is they watched it when they were kids, and I think watching it as a kid would be a totally different experience than watching it as an adult. So I totally 100% get it.
Yeah, it's like going back to the Star Wars films. They're awful movies, all of them. But when you're a kid, I'm just joking.
I'd say like at least half of them are pretty bad.
Half of them are pretty bad.
The original 3 are pretty bad, yeah.
Oh my God, you're gonna get murdered.
I'm joking.
The original 2 are pretty great.
Yeah.
And the prequels, I think Sith was pretty decent, but still,
that's my favorite out of all of the movies.
But
Clone
still,
Wars is my
like
favorite.
it's not the best.
Yeah,
Attack of the Clones just felt like I was watching a bunch of cartoons act out on a green screen background, and it just didn't really feel like a movie.
Well, and then not that National Treasure has anything to do with Star Wars, but like National Treasure is not that divisive. There's nothing like that terrible about it. It's nothing. There's no highs. There's no like insane highs or incredible lows. It's just
It's a feel-good
movie
film. I feel like,
Just to me, it's always just been a fun summer blockbuster type of film.
Yeah,
that's witty and especially when you're younger, a little more clever, a little fun, a little romance. Nicolas Cage, can't go wrong.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage
it's
and
very by the numbers.
Oh, sorry.
It's
a paint by numbers. Yeah. It's kind of like
really
a paint by numbers of Jerry Bruckheimer, but in a family film style, which, Bruckheimer didn't do like a ton of family films up to that point. I don't think really, right?
He had done
like the Pirates and
like right before this.
Yeah.
And that was a big smash hit. So they wanted him.
So it was like the beginning of the Disney relationship between.
Yeah.
Man, that's right. The original one was like, 2002, 2003?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right before this. So they probably came off of that and we're like, all right, I'll set up another franchise like that, but we'll do it about American history and we'll have a star like Nicolas Cage. And
yeah,
I don't think it never really hit that same level, but
I talk about it a little bit in the breakdown, but like I feel like the success of Angels and Demons and the DaVinci Code as books at that point really inspired this film. Robert Langdon isn't exactly like, an action star. He's just kind of a normal dude who's smart and figures out clues and stuff. And you kind of get the same thing with Nick Cage in this movie where he doesn't have to be like shredded and a big action star. He's just a normal guy who's just figuring out clues and stuff. And I kind of like, there is that moment where he jumps off of the carrier, which we'll talk about when we get to it. But aside from that, he doesn't really do anything action-y. I feel like they did more of it in the sequel. He runs. He runs through some pigeons. Has that John Woo moment.
Nice callback.
Nicolas Cage and Harvey Keitel both played corrupt cops in the Bad Lieutenant film series, which is kind of a cool tie-in because we're going to do Bad Lieutenant Protocol Los New Orleans, the longest name since assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. But we're doing that one in a few episodes, so it's kind of a cool start to the season with Keitel and Nicolas Cage together. So Harvey was the main character of the first one, and then Nick was the main character of the second film, which are 17 years apart, and I don't know that there's really much connection between those two films. I feel like they're kind of just two sides of a similar coin, really.
Yeah.
And then the final quick fact here, because most of the quick facts are in the actual breakdown, because I wanted to call out certain things as they came up, rather than talk about them ahead of time, and then we'll forget about them as we get to them. But in May 2020, Jerry Bruckheimer confirmed that not only was there a third film in development with the original cast returning, but also that a Disney Plus series was in the works with a series having the same premise as the original, but focusing on a much younger cast. So it'll be like a Disney Plus, probably like a 6 to 10 episode type of thing, like what they've been doing with the Marvel TV series. Series.
Yep.
Series.
Serials. Marvel serials.
I think it'll be kind of cool to see, sort of a different take on the National Treasure series with a younger cast and kind of doing the same thing, figuring out clues, and he says it's the same premise as the original. So are we just going to forget that they already discovered this treasure, or we're going to pretend that universe is different than this?
Or they'll just do other secrets, Freemasons and...
I figured this was their way of trying to combat or jump on the bandwagon, well, not bandwagon, but kind of compete with the Uncharted series. Movies, because I don't know how that movie's going to do. I mean, it's not getting a lot of positive feedback online through the trailers, but if you play those games, they're fun action adventure, silly, unrealistic games, and the movie seems to fit that.
Well, I think that the intended audience of that movie is not the game audience. So general audiences are going to be like, "Oh, I like Tom Holland, and this looks like a fun adventure movie." And then
and Marky Mark's in it.
Yeah,
I hope he pumps it up. Come on. Sorry, kids, you're probably all too young to understand that reference. Once upon a time, Marky Mark was a rapper.
Yeah, and an underwear model.
And
yeah, those were the days.
criminal.
Hey, we don't talk about that.